Well, today let's talk about success without college. I just stepped on the third rail. You've been hearing your entire lives that you got to go to college to succeed. In order to be successful today, a high school diploma isn't enough. You've got to have a college degree. And on the flip side of that coin, we have tens of thousands of young college graduates coming out with their degree in hand after throwing their mortarboards high in the air, success at last, and they are overburdened with student loan debt on top of credit card debt, plus their families are probably in debt to have helped them get through this, and now they're successful. They've got a college degree, nowhere to go. Now don't get me wrong, some of these people are going to have jobs. They're going to have good paying jobs, they're going to make it in the outside world, and it's going to be a dream path for them. As a matter of fact, 62.5% of the high school graduates today will go on to college. And 30% of those, 29.2%, within 3 years are going to have an associate's degree. Many will stop there, and that will be good enough. So, what about the rest? What are we going to do with the 38% of people who don't go to college? First, break it down. 62.5% going to college. How did they get there? Well, there's the desire, obviously. There's a perceived need to go to college. You've got prompting from politicians, from news media, from your family. From every direction you're bombarded, must go to college. And to do that, it takes money. Many of you will have academic scholarships of that 62.5%, that is. And many will have different sorts of athletic scholarships. So we've got scholastic scholarships, we've got athletic scholarships, and let's say you're a C student. You're not going to get those scholarships. Let's say you haven't even fully developed as a young man yet, and you're not athletic, you're not coordinated, or a young woman, or you just don't have any interest in sports, and that's okay too. What are you going to do? Where are you going to get your college money? There's no scholarships for the average student. There are no special programs for the majority of people who are just average, and there's nothing wrong with being average. Average can lead to greatness, and that's the message here. You don't need college to be a success. You can be an average student. You can be an above average student. In fact, many of the students that go to college, there's a 46% dropout rate. So you get 62.5% going to college, and then within 4 or 5 years, you used to take 4 years to get a degree, now it's 5. And I don't know if that's laziness or if that's a higher academic standard or if that's just the way they string it out so they can make more money over more time. Probably a combination of all of those things. But a 46% dropout rate. So even the people who go to college, many of them are going to drop out. So what happens with them? Where do they end up? On the streets? Back at home with mom and dad? Looking for a menial job anywhere just to pay the bills and to pay back the student loan debt that they're in? And let's not overlook that. Student loan debt is huge today. You better figure that out because it takes, on average, 2007 data was $4,608 per year to go to college. And the average tuition and fees, $4,774. The average loan amount, that is $4,608. And the average tuition and fees is $4,774. So you're starting off at a deficit already. You better plan on working while you go to college or have lots of scholarships or be lucky enough to be born into a family whose parents have money or who were able to actually save enough to put away for a college education. And unfortunately, that is not the norm today. Middle class is shrinking, and people don't have the extra money to send their kids to college. And that's okay. Remember, you're an adult. By the time you graduate high school, you're 18 years old, you're an adult. You need to take ownership of this. You need to embrace it. You need to figure out what you're going to do with your life. And you can't be dependent on other people, including the federal government, state government, local institutions, to pave the way for you. You got to make this on your own. And you can be a success without college. So we're going to start talking about this a little bit. What's that look like for you? If you're not going to go to college, you need to have a plan. At least going to college is a plan for some people. It's a plan that unfortunately doesn't always work out, as we can see with the high dropout rate. but it is a plan nonetheless. And if you develop a strategy, if you develop a winning game plan, when you get out of high school, start developing your skills now while you're in high school. If you've already gone to college or you're thinking about dropping out of college, start looking at the backup plan. You know, you're faced with choice A and choice B many times in life. Choice A, just find a job after high school. Maybe technical school. Find something that interests you and go that direction. Choice B, go to college. Actually, it's the other way around. Choice A is go to college. Choice B is, well, whatever else you happen to get. Well, let's create alternative C. We're going to create alternative C. Our alternative C is you don't have to go to college to be a success. Probably the first and only time you're going to hear this. There are a few other people out there that have expressed some interest in pursuing good work, good hard work that does have meaning for your life. We're going to explore that, but we're going to be getting there on a quick path, and we're going to start developing some skills in this video series that are going to teach you, at least show you the direction. It's going to take work, it's going to take effort, it is going to take study, but not all learning happens in the walls of an academic institution. You need to understand that. You need to know that there's work involved, there is reading, there's online tutorials, but it can put you ahead of the game. You could actually be, think of this, your average classmate graduates from high school, they go to college, they're in there for 5 years, typical to get an undergraduate degree now, another 3 to get a master's degree if they're going to be a lawyer, accountants, things like that. Or if they're in medicine, they can even go beyond that. So 8 years out of the gate, they're going to come out with a huge debt load in many cases, in fact, in most cases. And then they're going to start looking for a job, and they may land a job, probably not in their field of choice, which statistically is the way it's working out. What could you do in that 8 years? What could you do in that 8 years if in 10 years you had a plan that you could live frugally, develop your skills, make a bunch of money, be wise with that money, and at the end of 10 years, if you did this right, instead of being in debt for another $150,000 like many of your classmates, what if you had a nest egg of $250,000? Is it possible? It is. You need to understand that there is success without college. We'll talk about more later. Thanks.